Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to take a look at a product from a startup company that did a Kickstarter to get funding for this, and so now they're in operation and they've got a product out. It's called the FocusShifter, and today we're going to take a look at what all it entails, how it works, and whether or not it's something that might help you with your video work. Okay, we're going to take a look at what is inside the pouch here, and just note that this pouch is a part of their new Kickstarter campaign, and so it's a custom pouch for all of this. It's a neoprene, it's got kind of a stretch and lots of protection value. A zipper here, and then of course at the top, nice, it's got an attached carabiner so you can easily clip it on to your backpack or whatever, your camera bag in some way. So most importantly, inside there is the actual focus shifter itself, and we'll detail how that works in a moment. Inside there is also what's known as the marker board, and we'll talk about that in a second. And there is a rubber band or elastic band for attaching that. There are a couple of these clips that are used for marking hard stops. We'll detail that in a moment. There is also a counterweight for if you're dealing with a lens that happens to have kind of a loose focus ring on it. This can help with that, and it details how to use that in the instructions. There's some extra elastic bands. Just the nature of those is they're going to wear with use over time. There is a marker for marking on the marker board, which functions like a dry erase board. And then finally, there is, of course, the actual instructions themselves, and it will detail how to use things as well as warranty information. One of the big challenges that a product like this has to face is the reality that lenses come in a lot of different sizes and shapes. And if you want to know specifically if one of the lenses that you plan to use it on, or perhaps all of your lenses, work with the focus shifter, you can actually take a look at the website and the linkage down below, and it has a list of tested lenses that know to work. And so it has a fairly ingenious ability to accommodate different kinds of lenses. You know, for example, I've got this vintage 50mm f1.4 Tachymar lens, which by the way is a great video lens because it has a fabulous focus ring, and we'll take a look at demonstrating with that in just a few moments. So obviously that's a very, very narrow circumference. By comparison, this new Tamron 45mm f1.8, so it's a smaller maximum aperture, but obviously a very, very different kind of lens design. You'll see that that is a much, much broader circumference, particularly when it comes to the focus ring, and of course that is what really matters for mounting this. Similarly, the new Tamron 85mm f1.8 has an even thicker barrel around, and so as a result, that's going to demonstrate kind of our outer limits. By actually moving this back and forth, you're either loosening or increasing the tension on there. So now I've loosened it up enough where it's nice and easy. And so in this case, although the 85mm is a very thick lens in circumference, I'm able to now get right up around that and then tighten this down, and so it works similarly for this 85mm lens. And so here's a couple of very modern lenses to let you know how that works. But what if I want to go to the other extreme? What if I want to use this little SMC Tachymar lens? It has a much narrower barrel circumference. Well, what I can easily do is by turning the opposite direction to where I am tightening it, I can fairly quickly get down to the very narrow circumference of this little Tachymar lens. And so I would say overall in circumference, the circumference is somewhere near half that of the modern Tamron lens. But as you can see, I'm able to tighten that down nice and snug, even to such a narrow lens like this. And so now I have nice control over the focus ring here as well. And so as you can see, it's pretty ingenious, the design here, the full broad range of lens circumferences that this can accommodate. And so that shows you how to mount it on there. Now we'll take a look at how this works out in practice. So here we've attached the focus shifter marker board to the side of the lens using one of the elastic bands that we talked about. Attaching it to the side allows you to continue to have visual confirmation as you try to follow focus. So the advantage of here is that you can go ahead and if you're going to be shooting, for example, some static pulls here, it allows you to go ahead and program in some shots. And so in this case, I'm going to want to have one focus point here. And so so in advance, I can go ahead and magnify that viewpoint and make sure that I nail it exactly where I want. And then using this, the dry erase marker, I'm going to put a mark then. And then I'll also want to be able to, so I'll come out of my focus here, and then I'm going to want to nail focus on my second point. And looks like that's pretty accurate there. And so I can mark a second focus point here, and then finally my last area that I'm going to want to nail focus at. And so let's see, we can get that into focus here. And so I can mark my final point of focus here. Now, having done that in advance, when I actually go to do the shot here, it will allow me to do an easy focus pull where I can pull to focus here, pull to focus here, and know exactly where I'm going, and thus focus on getting a better result. And so in this case, I could go from a completely defocused look to pulling focus there, and then pulling focus there, and then pulling focus there. And so you see how easy that makes setting up advanced shots, and so that you can nail them quickly and accurately. So in conclusion, for me, the actual focus shifter itself is something that I find quite valuable. It's small and it's compact, and because it's so flexible in the kinds of lenses that it can mount on, it makes it just a very nice tool to pack along. And if you're going to do some actual video footage and you want to do some focus pulls and you would prefer to have some tighter control over them, these really work a treat, and this is a nicer one than any of the ones that I have previously used. It just works well, and its small size means that really it's compact. It's very easy to throw in your bag and bring along. I will note that the new pouch is a nice way to pack things along, and it's coming at a reasonable rate, and having the carabiner to attach to different things is always a handy thing if you're someone that goes out and shoots in the field, as I often do. And so all things considered, I think that's worthy of the investment, and certainly the focus shifter can make a big difference, particularly if you're dealing with a lens to where it's very hard in this case to see both the screen and then also to see where you are in terms of your focus shifting position. Find just using something like this, the focus shifter period, it just allows you to more easily define where the limits are in your scene. And one thing I would encourage you to do, even if you're just shooting kind of within a room, there's going to be probably parts of the focus throw of your particular lens that you don't need, particularly if you're using a manual focus lens with a really big focus throw like this one here. And so let's say that you only need 50% of that focus throw for the kind of shot you're going to do. Well, set this up and establish those outer limits, and that way you'll know whenever you're actually focusing that you're never going to move outside of the range of practical focus. And the thing is that as long as something is in focus in the room, your shots are going to end up better off than if you were completely missing focus at all. And so I think that setting that up properly and spending a little time and learning how to best utilize that will help you to get better video results. And as most videographers do, like for what I'm doing right now, I love having servo AF to where it's just tracking my face. It's a static shot, it works well. But if you're wanting to do any kind of creative work, really manual focus is the best way to go for that. And so having inexpensive little tools like this can really make life a whole lot simpler at a relatively small investment. If you want to learn more about Focus Shifter, they're at FocusShifter.com. I'll throw a link down below, as well as a link to that list I mentioned of lenses that it is known to work with in terms of the circumference. And while they're not on the list today, we added both the Tamron 45 VC and 85 VC, new lenses that are really great for video work. We've added those to the list as well. I'm Dustin Abbott, and if you haven't already, you can follow me down below on social media, and if you haven't, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.